The British gentlemen in the city are having a little flap about the Brexit. Will they be able to sell the financial services in the EU? Or will they all be on the dole? It is about passporting.
The loss of financial passports is an important Brexit issue. Project Fear would have you believe that all the city firms will move away and will lose some 60 billion in revenues, tax revenues. This is not the case.
It would be a reprisal against Britain, but damaging of the wealth of European people, and feeding only the vanity of a political caste.
There's no such thing as a single passport. According to the Bank of England and the Financial Services Authority, there are about 8 or 9 directives that affect it.
It is like needing a passport for everything. A passport for the garlic, a passport for the onions, a passport for the herbs.
Look, it's a difficult one because you've got banking services which are very domestic in their outlook, will control that, that's fine. So if you've got a mortgage from Halifax, it's going to make no difference to you. It's more to do with services that are sent across to them and they want us. So actually it's more about European banks coming here to do banking business. That's where the loss plays us selling something in. Each financial service business is different. So you've got, for example, insurance, reinsurance, fund management and banking. Some need access to the European market, some don't need it. But there are workaround solutions. So what do we mean by workarounds? Essentially workarounds are finding other solutions, for example putting a sales office into Ireland or Luxembourg and not moving the whole operation from London, which is a lot of people, to other centres. It's more about sales and being able to sell in and get access to the European Union.
This is Estonia, and the Estonians believe that they have the solution: e-residence.
E-residency allows anyone in the world to apply and become a digital resident of Estonia. And they can do a number of things, including starting a business. People who can benefit from this potentially are people in the UK and business owners there, companies who are worried about losing access to the single market. And e-residency allows them to have a presence in the single market. They can have an Estonian registered company. And the best part is they don't need to hire a local director like in the past. Most people typically pay their taxes in their home country. This is more about ease of doing business and access to the market. So the main benefit here is that you do not need to be physically present in Estonia.
Is it realistic that the EU could cause this great exodus from the city to Frankfurt, Paris or wherever?
Not everybody's going to leave the UK. So, for example, they'll only transfer part of the businesses. There are about 2.3 million workers in the city engaged in financial services. And if you look at Frankfurt with a population of only 700,000, it's not that we're going to move the whole lot to Frankfurt because there isn't room, quite apart from the fact that people will need to put children into schools and move their homes. So, in practical terms, it's quite difficult to move everything to, let's say, a Dublin or Frankfurt. In terms of moving people, it's not just bankers, it's all the other professions like lawyers, accountants, PR. It's a large number of people and they work very well together. The City of London has a good history at being the very best at this, and in moving it you would lose all of that expertise, couldn't recreate it easily overseas. It's not just about the UK having access into Europe, it's also about the European banks having access into London. London has this fantastic ecosystem of liquidity, lawyers, a whole range of services that make the system work. It's very important for European banks to come to London, so it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever for them to just go home. And I sincerely hope that the European politicians remember this when we get down to negotiations. So what's equivalence? Equivalence a bit like international accounting standards. What works in one country, like America, also works in Hong Kong, also works throughout Europe. So it's about a particular authority accepting that work done to a particular standard, for example in the United Kingdom, is also good enough, or indeed better, than their home standard.
What's more, whether Britain is in or out of the European Union, will still follow the same financial standards. Why? Because Britain has led the way in developing these rules through institutions such as the Bank of International Settlements, the Financial Stability Board, which is chaired by Mark Carney, the Governor of the Bank of England, and through other international organisations such as the WTO, OECD. Britain has been saying what the rules are.
The problem with equivalence is that it's open to political interpretation. So, if in order to get access to the European Union for financial services, we have to make a contribution, I think that's quite a difficult thing. Any subsidy paid to unprofitable business is a burden that falls to other businesses that actually work, as well as the general taxpayer. Factories, plumbers, farmers, fishermen should not and will not pay subsidies to support banks, especially ones which are not even British.
Dzień dobry. Wypadki.
When a Brexit-related problem is thought of, there are rent seekers and benefit scroungers seeking a subsidy or compensation.
I'm doing business with my German colleagues on a deal. We both want to make money, and it is nothing to do with politics. The division is not between us as businessmen or indeed fellow Europeans. It is a division between the workers producing versus the entitled EU elite who contribute nothing to society. Business wants certainty, and they won't wait on the European and UK politicians to agree on the future. They'll take decisions anyway, and the reality is that they'll make their plans in the absence of any agreement because they do need certainty and they do need to get on with their business lives.
Those of us who voted to remain in the EU pointed out some potential hazards, dangers involved in leaving the European Union. Even some apocalyptic predictions were made. But now that we are leaving the EU, we can't let those predictions become a reality. We can't hope for bad things to happen to our nation just to prove a point. It's like how this one time, my brother bought an old Triumph sports car from the 1960s and said we should take a trip to the seaside. I was a little unsure because I thought it might break down mid-trip. In fact, I was almost certain it would. I found myself hoping it would break down. I don't know, maybe out of spite or just wanting to be right. But in the end, it ended up being a really lovely day out. Which is kind of how it is with Brexit. Okay, Brexit is a massive adventure, and a lot of people had and still have their doubts. But if Brexit is our reality, we need to engage with it effectively. We need to go out there and make the best of it. Brexit is now about change, about a hope by a new generation to do things better.
Let's go!